back to our channel where we discuss book one of the Silo series. Today we're discussing chapters 15 through 30. We are Triple Threat Reads. I am Haley. This is James. This is Joseph. And boy, do we have some things to tell you about. These chapters were wild.
15 for 30? Wild. The whole fact that not one, but two unalived themselves. And then after
Three.
Was
Three.
it
Oh,
three?
two unalived themselves. 3 deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Two unalived themselves.
Was it? It was.
Was it? 2 deaths?
Two
3
hangings.
deaths.
Two hangings.
2 hangings.
Deputy. I was like, the deputy I kind of get, but what's his name? Scotty
Yeah, that
as
one.
well. I was like,
That's a legend. That's
yeah,
a legend.
yeah. That whole thing. I was like, no way. And
I
then
just
like
have to
when
say, I told y'all IT was suspicious as hell.
oh yeah, Bernard. Screw Bernard. Rat teeth face looking.
Looks like my stepmom.
I
Yeah,
was completely blindsided by John's death.
Well, apparently
Yeah.
that one's alleged as well. No, John's
like
it was like a murder
John's it
because
was
it
murder
like
for sure.
the first like chapter 15
Okay.
like when we read it is when the Bernard was like, I'm not signing that. I don't want Juliet for this deputy, and he was like kind of threatening the mayor, and the deputy's like, what? You got something to say? That was all wild. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then yeah, how she
It was,
died too. I was like, what? Really? Like,
It was so fast. There was no closure or anything.
I felt like it was like for all three of them passing, it was like fast as hell. And then
Yeah.
Jules,
Isn't it 4 deaths technically? Because Jules is
yeah, she got sent out to do the cleaning,
is out.
and
But
she
we don't
didn't.
know if she's
walking
dead or not.
outside. Yeah,
That's
She's
kind of
we'll
practically.
get to that.
She,
We'll get to that.
I think she's gone,
I don't think so. I think she's.
but
still-
she's the only one who didn't do the cleaning. She's like, all right, I already know what this is. This is all fake.
Smarter. I kind of love that, and I love how like sweaty Bernard was about it. I was like,
And he's like, she's not doing it. Like, oh, he doesn't know that she knows about the screen. Because, like, as soon as she puts it on, she's like, oh, that's why this is the size it is of that, the whole, like, coding and stuff like that Scotty told her about. And then, like, the whole reason she thinks it was, like, a murder for Scotty is because he sent her another, was it a letter?
missive. Yeah.
Kind of like a message, just like a DM. It went down in the DMs.
Yeah.
he said-
She saw that and she's like, wait a minute. Why would he send me this if he's just going to end his life?
Okay, so I have to say, I was so upset. Like, I don't think we have a main protagonist because they're like, here's this person, they're dead. Here's this
Yeah.
person, they're dead.
And
I feel like there may not be a main protagonist. I feel like the next set of chapters are kind of gonna revolve kind of like in somewhat of a similar way of we follow a character who kind of stumbles upon the truth and they end up either dead mysteriously or sent out of the silo for cleaning.
Yeah.
And then from there it's kind of just I feel like the story is about the silo and the people stumbling upon these the truth, and eventually it's going to lead to an uprising. So I feel like we're slowly getting into an uprising.
Well, okay, so when she got arrested when she was down back in mechanical,
she
after
got
she
arrested not
booted-
once, but like twice in the
twice.
2 chapters.
Yes, it was
I was
crazy.
like,
I
what the
thought
hell?
that Walker had betrayed her. I was like, that jerk. Like, I thought he had turned it in because she was telling him all about like her theories about Scotty.
Yeah, but while he was arresting her, he was like, "What do you want me to do? Like, I have to do this."
No, it was the
Knox.
Knox, the mechanical guy who was kind of like,
He's
Oh, yeah.
like,
I'll fight
"Be
him."
violent. Yeah, he's like,
I'll throw down. Like, what are we doing here? All right, you want to go? All right. And then what was it? What's that guy's name? Lucas. He's like,
Oh!
"Oh,
Yeah.
we're signing a petition. I love you." Like, you guys just threw stars
Yeah,
together.
when we met each other on the stairs, I was going to ask you out and
Yeah.
blah blah
Oh.
blah.
Told my
And
mom
she's
all
like,
about you, and
go.
she's all crying and stuff, trying to be like, "Oh, I didn't like you like that." Meanwhile, it kind of seems like she did.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think so. So much as like, hey, this is what they want, regardless of what anyone says or do. If you're not a part of that world that they're in, I'm gonna be dead regardless. So it doesn't matter what anyone says or does. The most interesting thing about to me is the fact that Bernard called another silo. So there's more than one silo.
Silo. He's Silo 1, and he called 18.
No, he called Silo 1.
No, he's Silo 1.
That's
Let
why
me
we got
look
our
it up.
book.
Let me look it
That's
up.
why we got our book.
Said Silo. Oh yeah, he did call Silo 1.
Silo 1, this is Silo 18.
Yeah, I was
He
just
licked
like,
the sweat
oh,
off
I
his
was like,
lips.
I was like, that's interesting. There's more than one silo, because you got to think
kinda
it's a
felt-
whole world of people, like not the whole world, like whatever, like state or wherever they're placed. Like you can't put like a whole, like let's say a state, you can't put a whole state in one silo. That's way too many people.
Not
Okay.
necessarily, because it's the end of the world, so you get as many people as you can, and the rest
Like
are
farm shelter.
unfortunate.
Well, obviously, it seems so far we know there's 18 silos,
Yeah,
That's true.
there's 18 silos.
Well,
so they got enough
And
people.
they can communicate.
There's still enough people to be like, hey, like just build more than one.
Which would make sense.
Okay.
I mean, if you're trying to preserve like a whole species, all the human race as much as possible, you're going to definitely need more than one, because you are going to need a stack of people, because especially if you only have one silo, definitely some inbreeding going to be happening, but I haven't really touched on that.
I mean, there's 144 floors, but
Eventually.
there's still not enough room for all those people in one silo.
Yeah. And eventually, I mean, it's going to, like, how does it not lead to inbreeding at one point or another? Like, I guess I get that they have the lottery and there's some sort of, like, sex thing where they have to kind of, like, tell the government, like, who they're trying to pursue and whatnot. So, yeah, because it seems like, at least, I don't think we really touched on it in the first part, but it seems like that women have, like, some device implanted into them,
like
that if they win the
IED.
lottery, yeah,
IED.
something of the sorts.
Mhm.
IED, ICD, ISE,
IUD.
ADC,
IUD.
whatever you want to call it. They have,
IEP.
yeah. Then they have some sort of device implanted into them, so that when they win the lottery, it's removed for them to then have a child.
So it seems like the kind of
And-
like that inbreeding thing you're talking about, it kind of like can't happen because no one seems to be like having a big family. Like if they're controlling, if they're
No, that's why
controlling-
they have the lottery.
If they're controlling who's having kids and what, like there's no way it can really happen because it's like their family seems like it's like
Yeah, but if you think about it down
one or
the line,
two.
eventually, like after,
Well,
I'm
how many-
There
surprised
are
it's not.
144 floors.
well, how many decades it's been since they've been in the silo?
It's been more than decades. Can I help you?
Like how long they've been in the silo? It seems like it would have happened already. Like
More,
So-
maybe the author didn't realize that himself.
I think you
So-
would have put that in there.
I want to share something I kind of picked up on. So these like chapters kind of touched on the way that the cleaning is used as like a spiritual experience to like keep people in check. And there's this book called Sapiens that talks about like the nature of humans and how in order to have people in large groups like function well together in a community, there has to be some sort of unifying belief. And if you get like over a certain amount of people, then it's harder to control them and there's more infighting, there's not as much trust. And so like I was thinking about like the cleaning and how like that was used intentionally to manipulate the massive, because I think Julia even talks about how the floors separate information and how IT is filtering and charging people for communicating. And so there's already these barriers in place to keep like people under control, and the cleaning is like this unifying spiritual threat consequence that they're using to keep people in check that I thought was interesting.
It was kind of like, what was she saying to the new deputy? I forget his name, but the new deputy, she was like, "Why do you think they
Billy.
charge for us to send like messages?" And then she's like, "Nah, I don't trust this dude. I didn't send any more to him." But pretty much what she was saying, like, are they charging just to keep so people can either just keep to themselves? Because if you're spreading all this information that she has around, it's like, oh, it's gonna cause an uprising. So
Yeah.
that's probably why she's thinking, oh, that's why they charge for these messages sending. Like even just writing notes to bring to someone, you pretty much have to pay someone to deliver that note. It's pretty much, hey, either walk down that flight of stairs, pay the cost, or keep to yourself.
Right. You just got like this broader scope of the scheme going on within the silos control, like where the power really is, and it's IT.
Well, especially since the mayor or John's passed, and like I believe she was poisoned, or they. I
She
feel
was.
like they.
She was
they
poisoned.
no, no, no.
She was
They were
poisoned.
trying to get to Marn.
They try to poison Marge, but since they I guess they didn't really know that they were sharing waters, so she ended up dead because she's pretty much was drinking all that water, and it's like wild how much he like was freaking out about her like being all sick and stuff, and like I mean they're at the right place.
After they finally decided to be together too. What?
Yeah, like
Messed up.
what was I saying?
Sorry.
Like how like it's crazy how like they were in the right spot for her to be like everything's going downhill right now because they were visiting Jules' dad again on their climb up. It's like,
Yeah.
well, for you to be like, oh, I'm dying, you're at the right spot for that to
She
happen.
still died though.
Yeah, I mean they're limited
I
to
mean-
what they have.
Very limited to like what their healthcare is, and like it's already been, the poison has already been like flowing through her system since they left IT, because it's still like somewhat of a climb to from IT to the nursery, and they're also in a nursery. It's more about delivering babies than anything.
Yeah, it's just wild how she just was in the right spot, and then Jules, and then when the deputy Marnes passed, they're like, Jules had the whole like feeling like where she's like, oh, did they just bring me up here to leave? Like she felt
Well,
alone. She didn't know how to do her job. She's like, I didn't get to shadow anybody. I just basically was thrown into this. And then the first time she was arrested because she's like forced herself into IT, she's like, oh, I was called here, and Bernard being a little bitch. She's like, I'm mayor and control IT, so we're gonna charge you for that. And then, but what was it? Bernard's like, oh, I'm the mayor, so whatever I give you goes on top of your already huge stack she already had. So there was that. So pretty much, I feel like Bernard is the main antagonist for like the villain,
Antagonist. Yeah.
for the villain end of this. But I'm like kind of hoping, I'm like, all these people are dying. Can he be one of them? I'm like, it probably won't happen until later, but I'm like, it'd be nice if he was one, or even if he got sent out for like a cleaning, would be like, all right, let's see if he would clean. I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
but he might.
he wouldn't, because he kind of knows the illusion behind it already. He also, I mean, it's IT as a whole who's in my opinion, who's the antagonist.
It's not all of IT though. It's like the trusted few.
No,
because
it's-
Scotty was in IT, and when he found out all about this, remember he was like freaking out.
No, it's IT is as a whole, like the core group of IT, of like who runs IT is the antagonist. So of course, like just like any fucking book that's a what is it, dystopian type of deal, that the mailman is technically works for the government, but he's not a bad guy, even though he works
Right.
for the government. But anyone who's kind of like in the higher ranks of IT, you can look at as the villain, because there's a pretty decent sized group of people you need to kind of pull this off, as well as keep it under wraps as best as possible. Because the people who make the suits, they know all about it. People who run the IT, of course, they know all about it. People who are left and right hand man with Bernard know about it. So the judges that he helped enforce to elect into those positions, they are probably well aware of it as well. And now, somewhat, Peter Billings, the new sheriff, after they sent Jules out, is kind of in that circle as well. Doesn't seem like he's really into it because he was just a shadow for the judge before becoming the deputy, then now sheriff. So
Talk
it's
about a promotion real
definitely, they're all
fast.
kind of like involved, huh?
No, talk about a promotion real fast. He went from
Well, he
deputy to
was the
sheriff
one that was
quick.
initially
Yeah,
like
he was supposed to be
Bernard
sheriff
wanted for the job.
because Bernard's like he's supposed to be in your seat. Like whenever
Yeah.
he first
That's
became
what Bernard
deputy.
wanted, and that's what kind of John's kind of, I guess, foretold or foreseen, whatever word you want to use
This
for it,
was
whatever
trying
the
to
proper
avoid.
one is, that she kind of called it, saying that like she's helped, was so helpful with putting in some people in a position of power that he wanted to kind of work with him, and then eventually he was wanting to put all these people in power that would kind of be like
It's like that he
his
wants
game
people in
in.
position of power that he's in charge of. Like he pretty much is like
Yeah,
their like the main like leader guy. So it's like
that they all have the same
if I have so right now he has mayor, IT, and sheriff. So he's running the whole show pretty
whole
much. So
thing.
he pretty much gets to
Yeah.
do whatever he wants, how he wants, where he wants. That's the whole reason why he got to send Jules out or arrest her for BS because he's like, oh, we have this forgiveness program now. So your whole stack
Not necessarily a
is gone.
forgiveness program so much as what his campaign, what was it called, motto or thing he's going off of,
It
kind of
was
like how
like
Trump's was "Make America Great Again." I'm not trying to be political, but that's just an example. But so his motto is "Forgive and forget" kind of deal,
yeah, that's what it
and
was.
he is mostly meaning it to Jules at the time of the whole poisoning that killed the mayor, and then also Jules kind of was suspecting the fact that maybe the old deputy Mons, whatever Mayor's Mons, whatever you want to call him, was suspecting now maybe his death wasn't a suicide either.
Yeah,
I think it was though.
it's like a
Yeah, most likely it was,
Yeah.
but it makes kind of sense to why to also kind of question it as well. Like, well, maybe.
There could be. Yeah, because he was vying for the power. That seat. For sure to get Peter up in there.
Yeah, you got
Um,
deputy and sheriff. Pretty
Because how else
fast.
would they have gotten Peter in there without killing him off?
I just gotta say, like, IT is messy. Like, all of this is, like, super messy, but I think the way that the silo is set up and their communication, like, is so controlled that they're able to get away with, like, this really blatant, obvious, like, cover up, and they're just, like, killing all the people who, like, have theories about, the outside world, you know what I mean?
I believe they see the messages that you try to send out as well.
Yeah, I believe they can see
They're
him.
like, oh
If
no,
they
that's
can't,
not
they can
going
just
for
get
him.
access to your computer.
Yeah.
Well, the one from Scotty got through,
It did.
and it's possible that he deleted it before they saw it, and that's why Jules did the same thing and then
I think
wrote
if
it
it's
down.
coming from IT, it's like they're not gonna. They can see it probably, but they don't really look into it because it's coming from IT. It's coming from the source. So I mean, like if
I
you're
know,
setting,
but they killed Scotty.
Yeah,
did they
Scotty's
though?
dead.
Yeah, they did. I don't think he unalived himself.
I don't think so either, but it's still like it's still 50-50. For Marge, it's 50-50.
I don't think it's 50-50 at
For,
all.
for Marge, I think
I
it's
think Marge
50-50.
definitely-
Scotty, it probably was a murder, but it's
No, it was.
he was still able to get his message sent out without it being seen, but they went through his computer because when Jules said, "Oh, I had permission to be there," Scotty summoned me there. So that's when they're like, "Okay, let's go check Scotty's computer."
Okay, I had one thought. I'm sorry to like change gears real quick. if they have this incredible generator that's like manufactured really, really well, right? And then they have this whole room that's air conditioned with the servers that runs really well, and they have all these massive computers that like runs really well, and then they mess up the suits. It's intentional that the suits are jacked so that they only survive a certain amount of time outside. But like all of this leads me to believe that the silo stairs are intentional because who wouldn't put in an elevator?
Elevator still
It's
costs
a lot of power.
I know,
I mean,
but
it doesn't
like
take that much
they're
power to
already
run an air
running a
conditioner.
server room though.
Also, elevators have a lot of moving parts.
Right,
You know how
but they
much
could have just
space
put
an
one down the
elevator
middle.
takes up, though?
You
Yeah.
could just do it down the middle of the silo. That's just empty space.
Imagine the elevators on the top floor, and then you're at the bottom. You're like, oh, I'm just sitting there all day.
But
Just
like
kind
think
of.
about like the elderly. It's like there's no
They stay
accessibility.
on
Like
their
I think
level.
the stairs are intentional.
They stay on their level.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a method of control of like maintaining some type
Well,
of
since you bring
hierarchy.
up the generator, I mean, that's the whole reason why Jules wanted a power date is so they can fix the generator because it was all wobble. It was out of alignment. Everything was wrong about it pretty much. So they were on the
It was
back
very
of
loud.
for a little bit. So whenever they fixed it, they were happy about it, and Jules was glad about her accomplishment before she left. But she still brings up the fact that there's not enough power to be running everything the way they're running it because they pretty much run it all willy nilly. So you could see like Bernard and all of IT.
They don't necessarily run it willy nilly so much as the fact that IT is sucking up like 90% of it with all their servers in that whole
Yeah,
room.
you think you can? I don't
Because
think you can get an
servers
elevator
do
with
need to
that.
be like at a specific, not necessarily a specific temperature, but of course you don't want the room to be too hot for everything to start overheating and whatnot. And another point I wanted to bring up, changing gears again,
Hold on, before you
is
do that,
I.
it's
Wait, hold on.
hold on. Let me finish my train of thought that I lost.
No, your train of
But
thought is wrong.
no, they. So that's the reason there's no elevator because IT has everything, but they run. Bernard and all of IT are pretty much just like those grease monkeys down at the bottom that run the generator. Like they are nothing. They need nothing. We don't need them. But then IT or mechanics is the opposite. Like, why do they need all this power?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they need it for their service, but like, why they're draining
Well,
all this
also
power?
think about how like Jules was up in the sheriff's area and it was clean and different, and then when she came back down to mechanical, she didn't realize how like grimy and like you can kind of pick up on like the
That's
subtleties
just
of them not
mechanic.
caring
That's
as
the
much. No, I know it's just mechanic in general, but as like a literary device to show that they're like on the bottom of the totem pole, like nobody cares about them.
yeah. Meanwhile,
Which
they're the
doesn't
ones
make
who
sense
run
to me
power
because
everywhere.
if without them you have no power, and then you don't have IT anymore, and you don't have anything anymore.
That's
Really,
just people
anything
thinking
that
they're
requires fire.
above people. It's like, oh, we're IT. We have all this stuff that we need running. You're at the bottom. All you do is power.
Right. And they're like
Yeah,
hidden in
power
the
for
middle,
stuff.
right? Like the real power's in the middle. They're not at the top or the bottom, but they kind of control both.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most optimum place to be, kind of towards in the middle, because of the fact that you got to control everything. So, what better
Yeah.
place to control everything than the middle?
Truth.
Where are you changing your gears to?
Yeah.
I want to know if the people of the silo, or if anyone else besides IT, know that there's other silos.
I feel like it's just Bernard because he had that one special room with the one special key, and he was weird about his computers.
Yeah. It might be true, but yeah, I'm just
What
curious
was it
about that
when
factor.
Jules didn't do the cleaning? That he was like running down the stairs and then he crushed his juice cup and then he held onto the cup and he like threw it
Yeah,
at
they
his
threw it
his
as.
team. He's like, you guys ruined it.
I mean, she already kind of like knew what the.
Yeah, but they didn't know that she knew.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why he was
Well, they had
like,
the they
freaking
had the
out.
flash drive. They had all the information that she did.
Yeah, but it was just all of Holston's data.
Yeah.
So I don't know how
Which
deep-
They
hosted
didn't think she
data,
could
but it had his home computer on it too, which
Yeah, but
Allison.
they don't know
really
exactly. I don't know if
did-
it's hard to say like if what they searched through.
Well, and they probably thought it was fine because they didn't think she had any knowledge of like IT, but she had connections, which is why they killed Scotty, I think.
He killed Scotty because of
Yeah.
what he knew.
Yeah, so that's why it wasn't like super monitored because they're like, she doesn't speak code.
And then
It's just a mechanic.
Yeah.
Bernard gets sick enjoyment of watching these people like
Oh yeah.
seeing something that's not actually true, and
Hmm.
enjoys watching them doing the cleaning because of the fact
Yeah,
that
like
they're
when
seeing
they see
something that's not
birds.
there.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah, and
laughing
there's,
at
like-
them.
Like a power play, dude. He's gross. I told y'all I had a bad feeling about IT.
Yeah, I don't. It's not really IT. All of IT. It's definitely one person.
I think we went over that.
One person is
Did we?
like, I'm running this.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's not just the one person.
Yeah, I'm not
think
saying
there are
it's the
multiple
one
players.
person who is the reason who like probably started it
Who
all.
leads it? Yeah.
Like they're their leader. I don't know why you would follow
Yeah.
a guy with rat teeth. I wouldn't. I'm like, I don't know, man. Your teeth, they kind of messed up.
It's so superficial.
And it's
Well,
just like
the
eyebrow
whole-
piercings. You
When
can't
they
trust
really,
somebody with
when
an
they
eyebrow
really
piercing.
just started describing Bernard, they're like, oh, Bernard, he like grabbed the bars and put his head through, and his rat teeth were showing. And I was like, oh, well, who would follow this guy? I wouldn't. Just like with the eyebrow piercing.
I don't get that. What is that?
It's funny.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah,
It's just like a stereotype that I'm unaware of?
I
probably.
wouldn't call it a stereotype.
Well, if you're saying people with eyebrow piercings can't be trusted, that sounds like a stereotype to me.
Would you trust someone with rat teeth?
I don't judge people out based on their teeth.
No comment. Move forward. Anyways. Yeah, Jules is I don't know. I guess we'll find out what's going on with Jules, or we might just stay in the silo because that would make the most sense to kind of just move on to a whole new set of characters. Maybe we'll learn more about Lucas, or we'll kind of follow him. Maybe he's upset about it. He'll start doing some more digging and stumble upon the truth himself and share the same fate as Jules and whatnot. But
You mind
yeah,
if I
I'm
switch
interesting. Yeah, I didn't really have a point with where that was going. I was just kind of just trying to get back on topic.
I feel you.
It's-
Death in books and like literary stuff is really interesting to me because sometimes there's just like meaningless ones, but I feel like because there's so much like death and dying in this book that he's really using it as a plot device to like keep people interested in moving forward. Like every time there is a death, like the plot just gets launched forward.
Oh yeah, and then new characters, everything comes in. I don't know. So far, everything like that I've been reading, I'm like, okay, all right, okay. Next chapter, let's just keep it going. I mean, for me, if it like ever be my first book, probably pay attention to the first video. You know what I'm talking about. I said this was my first book ever, but I'm like, oh gosh, like, no way. Like, what happens next? Like, it's really like interesting story. It just keeps going more and more interesting. There's a couple like boring parts when I'm reading them. Like I get it. I'm like, okay, and then something happens. I'm like, okay, keep going. But is there anything else you guys wanted to add? I feel like we covered mostly everything through those 15 chapters.
I'm sure there's a lot we kind of left
Wait,
out.
I thought it was so strange that her dad didn't like say like a proper goodbye.
That he just kind of stared at her.
Yeah,
we don't even
and then
know
like
for
wandered
sure
on.
if it was
If
him.
it was his dad, yeah, like or if
Her
he
dad.
left a
Oh,
note
that's like when she like saw like
describing her dad.
a black figure, like whenever
Yeah,
she
that
was
was
like sleeping in the cell.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think she was like the last cell, like up top.
Like he just went and saw her and then just didn't want to face it, so he left.
Yeah, that was wild.
Anyways, yeah,
Well,
that's it.
it's either like when she was doing the climb down to like IT. I forget where she was climbing down to for what.
Mechanical.
But yeah, when she didn't even
She
like
got banished.
she wanted to stop to go see her. She wanted to go stop and see her dad, but she's like, "Nah, I'm too busy," or she was too
It was
worried
shame.
about. Yeah, it's too shameful to go face the go face him and see him and be like, hey, I got promoted to sheriff and I failed. But I don't think she failed as sheriff. It was all set up.
It was a setup.
For her
That
to
blue
fail.
ball.
That was it.
My kind of thought is so far with us going through like these two sets of characters already, that the protagonist is kind of like these specific people of the silo that are stumbling upon the truth over and over, and again, we're eventually going to lead to an uprising, and I feel like that's kind of what is happening, and I'm very interested in like what these necessarily past uprisings were about and why. Like because like how do you get all these people to kind of be like, all these bad people did this uprising, and kind of nobody really sit there and think about it of like, well, why were they doing the uprising? So kind of learning the history of why it happened is kind of what intrigues me the most at the moment. Of course, what happens next, but
Right.
regarding the previous uprising, because all the files were deleted. But
Forgive
why
and
would,
forget, right?
well,
Pretty
yeah,
much.
and then why would the people of the uprising delete the files when they're the one trying to possibly expose the truth to the entire silo?
Which is, I think. Oh, go ahead, Joseph.
I feel like it's when Allison figured out the truth. I don't think she figured out the truth. She saw the video, and then that's when she like freaked out. And then Holston kind of figured it out as well, and that's when he like thought she was right, and he went out, and then Jules found it, and she figured out a little bit more than Allison and Holston did. So it kind of feels like the next people who do figure it out or start seeing are going to figure out a little bit more. It kind of seems like they just figure out more and more, that each characters figure out more than the last people did, because they kind of take their information like, hey, what did they see? Okay, then let's figure this out then. So I wonder how many like people are going to go through to figure like before there is an uprising, or is there even going to be an uprising?
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of like wondering.
Well, I
And
think
also,
it's
go ahead.
because there's so many silos, right? We're thinking 1 through 18. There's at least 18 of them. That like these uprisings, because Jules touches on it slightly with Walker, and she's like, I think they're killing everyone. So these uprisings are just like a cleansing, a reset of the silo to try and get the people they can control again.
It's like, oh, you're not with us. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see on how the other silo, at least silo in this instance, since it's just the call from the first one, to the first one, like how they come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, was Bernard trying to get rid of, like, get a hold of Silo 1 because that's what they're located. Where Jules went over the hill, are they over there? And they're like, hey, you got vision of her? Like, is she moving?
At least
dead?
Of another silo that they may have visual of, because it could be possible that these the sensors or the cameras or whatever you want to call them were placed intentionally to where you can't see a vision of any other silo for that specific reason.
Well, they probably built the silos way before, the world went to an end. So I don't think that was their plan. I mean, it could have been, but I feel like they just went, okay, we have room here, build one here, build one there, just like where they were able to locate, put them in.
Yeah, it's possible that they were built originally with good intention of saving humanity.
Like Fallout, yeah.
I mean, there's always
the Fallout
somewhere.
The Fallout shelters were always going to be like getting big projects.
Yeah.
Like in the war, I don't really. Who cares about Fallout? Move on.
I do have to say, normally in books, there is like one line where the author is allowed to throw in the title of the book to kind of like give you a sense of the theme. And
you're like, oh, that's why it's swole. Yeah, stuff like that.
And I'm just gonna read it real quick. It's on page 212. And that's when Juliet realized what she had to do. A project to pull the wool back from everyone's eyes, a favor to the next fool who slipped up or dared to hope aloud. So I think it is this gradual, like, think of it like the cleaning, how they scrub it with the freaking
Steel.
wool. You know
Like
what I
the
mean?
steel wool.
Yeah, it's like the clarity. I don't
And
know.
so she's
That's
saying
what
like everyone has like a piece of wool over their face and they're just blinded. They don't know
Over
the
their
truth.
eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
No.
No. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, same here. So we read 15 through 30. I think we're gonna read 31 through 45. Maybe try to hit 50, just depending on how everything goes for the week. So if we can hit 50, we'll let you know in the title. I mean, just read the title and you'll know what we read through. I mean, there's like 82 chapters.
Yeah, 82.
Yeah.
So an epilogue you gotta read. Apparently, didn't know that.
Done.
Done.
Fast. So pretty much
A
style
book
will be.
about a silo and that's in the ground.
So that
Crazy.
would be the next video is 31 through either 45 or 50, just depending on how the week goes. So we'll put in the title so you know exactly where we are. But that's it for us now.
Yeah, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments if you agreed, you disagreed with us. We'd love to hear from you.
What parts did you like? What did you dislike? Because, I mean, there's a lot that I doubt we covered everything within those 15
No.
chapters, but
Yeah.
it was just
If
so
there's
wild. There's
anything.
just so much different things going on, happening. Wow.
It's wild.
But like, subscribe, all that BS, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.